Hi everyone, Candace here from Scrappin' Two Little Princesses, and today I thought I would do a little video to show you how I made this card that I have up on my blog today. It's really easy, and I did almost everything in the Silhouette Studio software, so I will walk you through how I made all my cuts and how I filled my patterns and all that good stuff. So first thing I do, you just open a new project by going File, New. Next thing I do is make sure that my page tool is set on 12 by 12 and a 12 by 12 cutting mat. I usually use 12 by 12 cutting mats. Sometimes I use 12 by 24 depending on what kind of project I'm making. Next I draw a rectangle that is going to be the same size as the front of my card. That's just so I have a better idea how to size all my cuts on here. So I'm going to draw my rectangle, then go up to the scale window, and I want it to be 5 1/4 inches wide and 4 inches tall, and then click apply. It's just the standard A2 sized card. So right here is where I have what the front of my card is going to be. The next thing that I'm going to do is bring in my background shape that I had my milk and cookies on. So I'm going to go File, Merge. If you go Open, it'll create a new window down here, like a whole new project. But if you go Merge, it'll bring in your cuts right onto the same project that you're working on. So I know that my file is from Pretty Paper Pretty Ribbons, and it is called from the Layered Labels 2 set. I'm going to change this. It's only looking for studio files here, and I want it to look for all my files. And this is 2-2. I'm just going to open that up. So it brings it onto my project. I'm just going to ungroup it because I actually only want one of these. So I'm going to click the bigger one and delete it. So I only need one. Then I'm going to bring it onto my page, and this is why I like having a rectangle here of the size of my card, so I really know how big to make all of my shapes. So I'm going to make this about, I'm going to make it about 2.495 or 2.5 inches wide, and then 1.925 inches high. Just getting these numbers from the original card that I made, since I'm recreating it here just to show you how I did everything. So now I'm going to fill my background shape with the pattern paper, the digital paper. So I'm going to open up my window over here, and this paper comes from Lettering Delights, and it's in the Once Upon a Time set, and I'm going to click on it. First I'm going to select my shape. I'm going to open up my window again, click on the pattern that I want, and drag and just drop it onto that shape. Then I can minimize this window again. See, it filled up my shape with my pattern. Now if you wanted to, you can go up to Fill Pattern Window, and right on the bottom here it says Advanced Options. You can click on that, and you can scale your pattern, so you can adjust it to make it as big or as small as you'd like. So I think that's about good right there. Next, I'm just going to make sure that when I cut this out, it's going to cut around the outside edge. So I select the Cut Style window, and with my shape selected, I'm going to select Cut Edge. So now it shows up with a red line around the outside, and that's where it's going to get cut. So the next thing that I'm going to do is work with my two little images, which is the milk and the cookies, that go onto this shape. I've already opened them and brought them in so that I'd spend less time kind of rooting through all my files. I have a lot of files, and sometimes I forget where I have them all. I'm not organized very well, so I'm going to start with my cookie, and this was a freebie from Miss Kate's Cuttables, and it's called Cute Cookie. And when I open it up, it's all in the individual layers, and I want it to be treated almost like a graphic. So I'm going to ungroup everything and put it together so it looks like a graphic, so that I can move my shapes onto this background piece and print this whole thing out. So I'm not going to use the bow or the facial features there, so I'm going to select those and delete them. Instead, I'm going to use my own little peachy keen face, which I love those faces. So I'm going to select my top layer here. Actually, sorry, no, I'm going to select this Draw an Ellipse tool. So what I'm going to do is I want to cover up this little face here so that it doesn't show up on my graphic. So I'm going to draw a circle around all these features. Click on it. Move it up, make sure it's covering everything. Then I'm going to open up the fill window, and I'm going to fill that little oval with the same color as the cookie. So I'm going to select the eyedropper tool, then click on the color that I want it filled with. So it fills all that up, and now I want to make sure this line doesn't print, the red circle. So I'm going to go over here to the line color window and do the same thing, use my eyedropper tool, select the cookie color. So now you can't see it at all there, but I just want to make sure that it's not going to cut when I go to cut the outside of my background shape. So I'm going to go to the cut window while that oval is still selected, and it's showing up red, which means it would have cut. So I'm just going to select no cut. There. So now I just am going to select that oval as well as that layer of the cookie and go down here and group them as one, just so it doesn't get moved around. So next I'm going to put together my little cookie. So I'm going to move this layer over top. And there's eyes on this layer as well, but that doesn't really matter because since I'm treating it like a graphic, this top layer is going to go right over top and you won't even see it. So there's my little cookie shape. I'm not going to use this shadow either, so I'm going to select that and delete it. The next, I'm going to do the same thing with my little milk jug. When I opened up this SVG, it came all put together already, so I didn't have to put it together to make it look like a graphic. But I want to get rid of all these little facial features as well, so I'm going to click on that. And then go down here in the bottom left hand corner and go ungroup selected shapes. So now I can select my cheeks and delete those, and then I'm going to do the same thing to cover up these little eyes and mouth. I'm going to make a oval shape like this, go right over top of all those features, select my oval shape, if I can, sometimes it's tricky. Okay, there we go. Select the oval shape, go to fill color. I know this is white, but I just like to make sure it's going to match exactly. Fill it with the exact same color, then go over to my line color, use my eyedropper tool and do the exact same thing, then go back up to my cut, and it's showing that it's not going to cut this time, which is perfect. So I can close that window. Now I need to scale these. I'm going to actually group this all together again so that when I scale it down I'm not forgetting any parts. So I'm going to group all those together. And now I'm going to bring these down to the size that I want. So I'm going to shrink them down there. Do the same thing with my cookie. Make sure it's all grouped into one so I don't forget pieces when I'm moving it around. Scale it down. I'm going to zoom in here so can see better. So I'm going to shift my little milk jug over there. Select my cookie, make it smaller too. I'm going to try to have them so they're about the same height. That should be about good. Put them beside each other. Like that. There, and there's my one piece. So this is all going to be printed at the same time. So I'm going to select everything and go group. Now I just want my little blue banner in the background right here. So I'm going to open that up. I don't think I brought that shape in beforehand. Just let me, oh yes I did, right. over here. So when I opened this one up, it brought all of these shapes in this little set in. So I'm gonna ungroup them all. And then the one that I want is the second one from the top, so I'm just gonna move it out, and then I'm just gonna delete the rest of these. Now I'm just gonna shrink this down so it's the size that I want it. I think it's about that size. I'm gonna right click on it so I can send it to the back. Go send to back, so I can just tell exactly the size that I want it. I think I want it a little bit bigger than that. Move it over here so that it's centered. Yep, that looks about right. So then I'm just going to move it over here, select it. I want to fill it with some pattern paper as well. So I'm going to open this back up, and from the same Once Upon a Time collection from Lettering Delights, I'm just going to pick this blue striped paper and fill it up. Now I'm just going to double check how this is going to be cut out, and it's not selected to cut out, so I'm going to go cut edge so that it will be cut out. And now I can move this off to the side since I have everything how I want it. These are the right sizes of everything. And I usually print on a letter size sheet. So, unless I have a whole bunch, then I use a 12 by 12, but when I'm just printing like a couple small things, I usually just try to use a letter size. So I'm going to go over here to my Page Tools window and actually select letter size. And then I'm going to go over here to my registration mark setting window and go show registration marks. And then I can move these up here just so I can save a little paper. At least I can kind of use some of the paper in here. I usually try to put as many graphics and and SVGs, whatever I'm printing, I try to fill this whole thing up so I'm not wasting any paper. So next, all I do is go to File, Print, and have my printer selected. I usually go to Preferences, and then Paper Quality, and I usually go down here to Inkjet, Scrapbook Paper Matte, and go OK. Sometimes I use the best quality setting, but for the most part I just use normal setting. And then I say OK, and then I click Apply, and then I print. And once that's printed out, then I just send it through my Silhouette.